For 32 years, he sat on that same bench, same time, same coat, same photograph. No one knew why. No one asked. Until one grieving young woman finally did. And what she uncovered was a love story so buried, so tragic. It had waited an entire lifetime to be heard. In the quiet corner of Wheatstone, Vermont, where fog rolls in slow and heavy, and the air tastes like pine and memory, there sat a man on a bench. Same bench, same time, every day, for 32 years. His name was Henry Walker. People didn't talk much about Henry, not because they didn't know who he was, but because they did. Some called him a town relic. Some said he was a ghost of a man, but no one, not even the mailman who saw him every morning, or the cafe girl who served him the same black coffee every evening, dared ask the question everyone was thinking. Why is he still waiting? He wasn't homeless, wasn't dangerous. He lived in a neat little apartment above the old bookstore, paid his bills on time, ironed his clothes every morning, always wore a brown wool coat, even when the summers boiled, shoes always shined, face always clean-shaven. But the most curious thing, he always carried the same photograph. It was old, creased, softened by time, yellowed at the edges. A woman's face, early 20s maybe. Her smile was warm, eyes like sea glass on a summer day. And every day at exactly 5:47 p.m., Henry would walk 3 blocks to the park, sit on that same bench, unfold that photo, and not fidget, not read, not scroll a phone, just sit, still as stone, looking out at the path as though expecting someone to come around the corner. The town made stories as towns do. Some believed it was a long-lost wife. Others thought she died in the war. The more dramatic ones claimed she was a spy, or a government secret. Kids dared each other to ask him. None ever did. Then came Emily Raines. She wasn't from Wheatstone. She came from Boston, ran from it really. Her fiancé, Tyler, died 6 months before their wedding, killed in a hit-and-run. She moved to Wheatstone, to breathe again, took a job as a part-time librarian, and part-time ghost of herself. Emily wasn't looking for meaning. She was trying not to feel anything at all. But on her 3rd week in Wheatstone, she walked past that bench and saw Henry, noticed him, something in the way he sat. Not lonely, but loyal, not broken, but still waiting for something sacred, made her pause. The next day she passed again, same time, same bench, same man. By the 4th day she started sitting on the bench across from his. No words, just presence, like birds slowly learning not to startle each other. One day, after 2 weeks of silent company, Henry finally spoke. "You look like someone who's carrying too much grief in too small a heart." Emily didn't respond at first. She blinked, swallowed, and then quietly said, "I lost someone." Henry nodded like he already knew. "Grief is just love looking for somewhere to go," he said. "Eventually, it finds its place." Over the next few months their silence turned into story. Henry didn't dump his past in one big confession. He offered it in fragments, like puzzle pieces. Small, intimate, deliberate. Her name was Margaret. They met in the spring of... He was 22, a mechanic's apprentice, with dirt under his fingernails and dreams bigger than his wallet. She was 21, a nurse at the local clinic, the daughter of a professor who disapproved of blue-collar men. Henry saw her at a local fundraiser. She wore a pale yellow dress and was laughing so hard she snorted. He spilled punch on her by accident. She didn't get mad. She laughed harder. He asked her to dance. She said yes before the music even started. And that was it. Days turned into seasons. Walks around Wheatstone Lake, diner breakfasts, late-night phone calls, the kind of love that doesn't need poetry, because it is poetry. Then came 1969, draft letter, Vietnam. They sat on that very bench the night before he left. Henry had made her a promise. "I'll be back in 2 years, same time, same place." Margaret smiled, tears in her eyes. "And I'll be here." He kissed her forehead, folded her into his arms. 3 months into his deployment, his convoy was ambushed. Everyone else died. Henry survived. Crushed spine, punctured lung, months in recovery, no letters sent, no phone lines available. The war didn't just steal years, it stole his voice, his chance to say he was alive. By the time he returned, She was gone. Her house was empty. Her phone disconnected. Neighbors said her father moved her to Chicago, that she'd married a lawyer. Henry asked around. No one knew for sure. So he came to the bench, and he waited. Not just for a week, or a month, but every day, for 32 years. Emily asked him once, why, after all this time? Henry looked up at her with eyes filled with something deeper than hope. Because I told her I would, and that has to mean something, even if I'm the only one left who believes it. Emily, who had been drowning in her own grief, found something sacred in that. A man who hadn't moved on, not because he couldn't, but because he chose not to. A man who gave grief a chair, instead of trying to chase it out. Then one bitter winter night, Henry didn't come. Emily waited. The wind howled, the trees bent, but the bench stayed empty. She ran to his apartment. No answer. Called the local ER. He was there. Stroke. Minor. But dangerous at his age. He couldn't speak clearly for days. Couldn't remember his own name. One morning, Emily sat by his hospital bed, holding the old photo of Margaret, whispering the story back into his ear, hoping he'd hold on to it. And then one morning, he looked at her with tears rolling down his cheeks and asked, did she ever come? Emily's heart cracked open. Not yet, she whispered. That night, she made a decision. She had to find Margaret. She searched old town records, dug through archives, called hospitals, veterans groups, retirement homes. She hit dead end after dead end, until finally, one voice on the other end of a call said, Margaret Livingston. Yes, she's here. Room 20, assisted living in Chicago. Emily flew out that weekend. Margaret was older now, slender, her hair snowy white, but those same sea glass eyes, same gentle smile. Emily told her everything. Margaret's hands trembled. He waited, she asked, voice cracking. Every day, Emily said, tears in her throat. For 32 years, Margaret opened a drawer, pulled out a letter, yellowed, unopened. I wrote this the day after he left, gave it to his mother. She never told him. Emily held the letter like it was a sacred relic. 2 weeks later, Margaret came to Wheatstone. Henry was waiting on the bench. Emily had brought him, dressed him up, even polished his shoes. The van door opened. Margaret stepped out. When he saw her, Henry gasped. Hands trembled. Tears fell without asking. You came, he whispered. I never left, she said, kneeling in front of him. I just got lost. She placed the letter in his lap. Inside was one line. I'll wait too, even if life pulls us apart. They sat together on that bench for months after that. Two weathered souls who found each other again. Not in youth, not in glamour, but in the holy ashes of time. And then one morning, Henry didn't wake up, peaceful, serene, gone. At his funeral, Margaret sat on the bench alone, photograph in hand, now worn beyond time. And she waited, not because she expected him to return, but because that's what love does. It waits, even when the world doesn't understand, even when the years feel cruel, even when no one else shows up. Because love, real love, does not vanish. It echoes, and some promises, they outlive us all.